This is literally a case and an occasion where the defendant's actions speak for themselves. I want to talk to you about one word that may be the most overused word in the English language, and that's the word love. Sometimes we say, I love, fill in the blank, a particular team, or I love a particular food. And that's really not the essence of the word love, because in its truest and purest form, it is the greatest gift that has been bestowed on us, our ability to love. And while there may be loves equal to it, there is no greater love than a mother's love for a child. Just a quick anecdote. I am lucky enough to be a father. And when my oldest boy was an infant, my wife and I traveled in early winter to a store. And this may not seem like any big thing to you, but it was a remarkable thing to me, because when she got out of the car with my infant son cradled in her arms, she hits a patch of ice and went down. Now, 2 million years of evolution tell us that the instinctive, natural thing for someone to do when they hit a patch of ice and are about to possibly seriously injure themselves is to put their arms out, extend them, and brace themselves. And my wife never moved her arms, and she took a pretty bad whack to her back. And my son just kind of smiled and burped and had a good time about the whole thing. And there it was, in its simplest form. That's what a mother is supposed to do. It's one of life's constants. So when Mr. Keller, with all due respect to him, points out an isolated incident here or there and says this doesn't make sense or that doesn't add up, how do you make sense? Why should anyone ask you to make sense about what this defendant did? I'm just happy that we're here trying the defendant for the attempted murder of Ashley Wallace, and not for two murders, David Castor and Ashley Wallace, because quite frankly, sense and love have both taken a holiday in the life of Stacey Castor. See, it's the little things, folks. It's the little things that convict you. She calls 911, and she's worried about the room being a pigsty. I mean, naturally, every mother who's lost two husbands to poisoning and whose daughter is lying in front of her near death is going to be worried that the EMTs will think she's a bad housewife. That's normal. She stays at Danny's home on August 21st, first time ever. That's normal. She checks the alarm on Bree's phone on September the 13th, 2007 to make sure that Bree's going to be there to find Ashley. That's normal. She's looking for Matt Gandino's ATM card in the dark. That's normal. Her husband, according to her, she's worried about whether or not he may have taken his own life. And she makes one phone call to the house. That's normal. She says the word antifree on September the 7th, and it appears 4 times in Exhibit 1. But that's normal. On the 911 call on September the 14th, she wants to make darn sure that everybody knows there's a note. She wants to make sure that Mike Oxner finds that note and make sure the police know about that note. And that's normal. She's shaking by herself in the dining room while her daughter's in her bedroom dying. And Bree comes up and tries to console her, and she tells her to F off. And that's normal. She knows about the Gatorade at the end of the note, but she told you that she only skimmed the first couple of lines, and that's normal. The first time she ever answered her daughter's cell phone and talked to Matt Gandino was on the afternoon she tried to kill her and told Matt not to come over, because that's normal. She phonies up a will, lets her friends almost face criminal charges, but that's normal. And she hides the Lexapro bottle behind some toilet paper with her fingerprints on it, and that's normal. She tried to convince the doctors in 2000 that Mike died of a heart attack. She tried to convince the police in 2005 that David took his own life. Remember the references to ex-wife and psychiatrist and speeding? Take all of that as true. Take all of that as true. You know what? It's the little things. Now she says, no, I wasn't trying to convince him that it was a suicide. Sure she was. You remember? Remember the 7-hour marathon in the garage? And they're drinking Pepsi and she's alone with him, right? No, Ashley. She's drinking Pepsi. What does she say? She says, he didn't want me to drink that Pepsi. He made me go get some of my Pepsi on my own. What does that tell you? That tells you she's trying to convince the cops that he knew the Pepsi was poisoned. That's why he didn't want to give her any. That's what she's trying to tell the cops. She's trying to set it up as a suicide. And it almost worked. She's getting good at it. I mean, this is number 2. When number 3 came around, she's a pro with Ashley, because now she's going to do this note. And now this trail of horror and deceit and evil and murder is about to come to an end. Mike Wallace and David Castor, linked forever by a common killer. 2 regular guys. Everybody knows of Mike Wallace and David Castor in their life. Hey, Mike, can you shovel my walk for me? Hurt my back. Or hey, Dave, can you stop at the store and get an extra carton of milk for my mom? She's not feeling. Just guys you meet 1,000 times a day. And only one person shed a tear. Ashley Wallace, killed by their own wife. An agonizing, irrefutable, plain as day type of agonizing death. I'm now taking you to the peak of that mountain of evidence. I started out by telling you I was at a loss for words to describe this defendant. You can solve that problem for me because the word for this defendant is guilty. Ashley Wallace didn't have anything to do with the death of her father. She didn't have anything to do with the death of her stepfather. When I was in law school, we took all kinds of courses. Most of them I've forgotten, mercifully. But there was never a course that said Justice 101. Different professors might have had different definitions of it. Might have said it was, this or that or whatever. But nobody ever really said, okay, this is a definition of justice. This is it. But today, right now, right today, justice is sitting in front of me. You are about to bring justice to this case. And ladies and gentlemen, I can't think of 12 people more qualified to do that. Thank you very much.